I've heard a lot about your desk.
It's a door with 4x4s.
Come on.
What?
I mean, you can afford a better desk than that.
It's a symbol of spending money on things that matter to customers and not spending money on things that don't.
And you don't need clean carpets. What are these things on the floor?
Well, these are sticky balls.
Obviously they work, Yeah, that's great. That's very impressive.
Remember, this man is a titan of our time, a giant.
What kind of kid were you?
Well, I was a good student. I always worked really hard. I was nerdy.
You were nerdy.
I was nerdy. That hasn't changed, by the way.
Did you realize it back then?
My watch updates itself from the atomic clock 36 times a day, if that gives you any indication.
Really?
I'm afraid so.
But you did really well, huh?
In school? Yeah, I was always a good student.
Socially?
Socially, I was a little awkward, I think would be one way to put it.
Blind dates?
Not until, I didn't really date much until like my last year of college.
Which was where?
Which was at Princeton. Actually, I set up sort of a formal plan to date. I had all my friends set me up on blind dates. None of them worked out very well.
Maybe it was his intensity, or maybe it was the way he talks. Listen to the way he describes his company's business plan.
We believe that this is a critical category formation time.
Bezos uses the same kind of Wall Street wonk talk when he talks or thinks about almost anything, including what he wants out of life.
The way I made the decision to leave Wall Street and do this was, it'll sound geeky to you, but it was a regret minimization framework. So this is how I actually made the decision.
If I understand it, if I can translate that into English I can deal with, does that mean I want to live my life so that in a few decades from now I'm not going to regret it?
That's exactly right. I want to have lived my life in such a way that when I'm 80 years old, I've minimized the number of regrets that I have. And I think actually a lot of people do that. I think they, even if they don't, call it something as dorky as regret minimization framework, they behave that way anyway. They think that way.
But for you it was not carpe diem, it was not wine, women, and song.
No. I don't go in for carpe diem. I go in for regret minimization framework. Absolutely.
In my particular case, I laugh. So it is, there are, I think stress, you can be, I think one of the things that's very important to note about stress is that stress primarily comes from not taking action over something that you can have some control over. So if I find that some particular thing is causing me to have stress, that's a warning flag for me. What it means is there's something that I haven't completely identified, perhaps in my conscious mind, that is bothering me, and I haven't yet taken any action on it. I find as soon as I identify it and make the first phone call or send off the first email message or whatever it is that we're going to do to start to address that situation, even if it's not solved, the mere fact that we're addressing it dramatically reduces any stress that might come from it. So stress comes from ignoring things that you shouldn't be ignoring, I think in large part. So stress doesn't come, people get stress wrong all the time, in my opinion. Stress doesn't come from hard work, for example. You can be working incredibly hard and loving it. And likewise, you can be out of work and incredibly stressed over that. So, and likewise, if you kind of use that as an analogy for what I was just talking about, if you're out of work, but you're going through, a disciplined approach of, a series of job interviews and so on and working to remedy that situation, you're going to be a lot less stressed than if you're just worrying about it and doing nothing.
Your goal is to be the largest online, and you are, retailer in the world. Beyond that, what's the goal?
Well, our mission is Earth's most customer-centric company.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I'll give you an example. Right after World War II, Morita-san, the guy who founded Sony, set as the mission for Sony that they were going to make Japan known for quality. You have to remember, this was a time when Japan was known for cheap copycat products. And Morita-san said, he didn't say we're going to make Sony known for quality. He said we're going to make Japan known for quality. He chose a mission for Sony that was bigger than Sony. And when we talk about Earth's most customer-centric company, we have a similar idea in mind. We want other companies to look at Amazon and see us as a standard bearer for obsessive focus on the customer, as opposed to obsessive focus on the competitor. So that's one of the reasons we work on differentiated products. It's one of the reasons we take a long-term viewpoint on things. You can't really do the right thing for customers if you're short-term oriented. And if you're going to invent new things, you've also got to be able, this goes along with long-term orientation, you've got to be willing to endure a lot of criticism. You know, if you're going to put, Kindle is a good example, if you're going to put your back into reinventing a 500-year-old industry, some folks are going to get ornery.
It was also feared at one time, those people who had your stock, that once Walmart, for example, got serious about being online, they would blow you away. Why didn't that happen?
Well, I think it's because we did a good job for our customers. So, you know, you go back in time and we've been called Amazon.toast.
Right, I remember.
Amazon.con, Amazon.bomb. You know, this is all like in the first 3 years of our existence.
Sure, yeah.
And that's part of what I'm talking about, the willingness to be misunderstood. If you're going to do things, we lay out what we're doing and we tell people, you know, how we think about things. Like I'm saying to people, you know, the iPad is not a Kindle killer. I'm very clear about that, but it doesn't keep people from writing that. And I'm very clear about why. It's a totally differentiated device. It's $139. Works in bright sunlight. You can read with one hand. It's so light and the battery lasts a month. For $139, why wouldn't you want a device like that?
Okay, but let me go back to the Walmart issue.
Yeah.
What was it that made you able to sustain a challenge from the world's greatest retailer?
Obsessive customer focus on.
But how do you focus on the customer better than they focus on the customer?
They're
pretty good at focusing on the customer too.
But we're very differentiated in how we do it. And so our approach, if you think about our retail business, which I think is what you're asking about here, there are really three things that we know are critical.
Well, that's the heart and soul of your business, isn't it?
Well, and especially relative to the Walmart question, I think that's the key. It's selection, low prices, and fast, convenient, reliable delivery. So that the shipment side. And so we have...
Wait. So Walmart doesn't have low prices, fast, and convenient delivery?
I would claim that Amazon has much broader selection. In many cases, I don't want to be overly bold in my claim, but the online model gives us significant cost structure advantages that lets us have even lower prices than physical stores.
Selling them.
Well, sometimes they do have umbrella problems sometimes where they don't want to compete against themselves online versus offline.
But at Walmart, with all of the volume that it buys, its purchasing power therefore gives it the ability to offer lower prices. Well, doesn't that give them an advantage they ought to be able to translate? Because their purchasing power is bigger than your purchasing power, is it not?
I think in a lot of the product categories, that ship sailed a long time ago.
Meaning what?
Meaning that we have
the purchasing power to compete with anybody.
We have the volume relationships with suppliers. That playing field has been leveled. Okay. If you'd asked me that question, 10 or 15 years ago, right, I'd have agreed with you that
there was a challenge you had overcome.
But even then, our profitability is not our customer's problem. We don't take the point of view that we're going to price products, at a particular margin for ourselves. We say we're going to price products competitively, and if that means on that product that we lose money, that's okay, because we need to take care of the customer and earn trust, and we'll figure out over time. And if we find we can't ever make money with that product, we'll stop selling it. But we're not going to make customers pay for any of our inefficiencies. if you see what I'm
Did you
saying.
lose money on the Kindle?
Every new business that we have ever invested in, it has taken years. Most businesses have either no impact on our financials for the first 5 to 7 years or a negative impact on our financials for the first 5 to 7 years. And we do a lot of new things. The company is very healthy financially. We're doing very well, and it's an outcome of customer obsession. So, you know, when we were Amazon.toast, that was because Barnes & Noble had, you know, we only had when we were declared Amazon.toast, I think we had 150 employees. Barnes & Noble had 30,000 employees. And somebody wrote an article that said, you know, Amazon has had a great 2-year run, but now the big boys have shown up and they're going to steamroll them. And, you know, we had a all-hands meeting. I called all 150 employees together. I said, look, because everybody's worried, every employee has read the Amazon.toast article. Every mother of every employee has read the Amazon.toast article and has called and said,
your father and mother who live here in New York.
Yeah, are you okay? And so we had an all-hands meeting, and I said, look, you should wake up worried, terrified every morning, but don't be worried about our competitors, because they're never going to send us any money anyway. Let's be worried about our customers and stay heads down focused. And so these are big, most of these are big markets. Another way to answer your question about competitors and Walmart is to say, look, they can succeed fabulously and it won't stop us from succeeding. These retail markets are huge. So it often doesn't make sense for us to think of it as a pitched battle. You know, sometimes people think about business as it's kind of like a sporting event. There's a winner and a loser.
It's not a zero-sum game.
It usually isn't. I'm sure there are cases where, but most often, industries succeed. So I can tell you, I think e-commerce is succeeding. And the way we think about it, nobody else has to fail for us to do well. I think ebooks is like that. I think there are going to be many winners. I think ebooks is going to be a huge industry.
Well, there are many competitors now. I mean, you've got Barnes & Noble is one of them, Sony is another now,
and there'll be
Apple
more.
is another.
But I have a list of 50 competitors that we could walk through. I mean, you know, all over the world doing different things. And our focus is going to be, you know what, we'll try to pay attention to those competitors, but we're not going to obsess over them. We're going to obsess over readers, and that because those are the people who are buying that device. And we're going to make it, and it's not just a business for us, it's a mission for us. And missionaries build better products.
What is Jeff Bezos thinking about today in 2010 that we might not know anything about that he thinks may be a reality in 2013 or 2015?
Well,
where is
one of the things is the Amazon Web Services business. Now there's a business that probably
this is the Amazon Cloud stuff.
Yes, and there's a business that's growing. You know, it's in a hyper growth phase. It's already a significant business. That's a business that probably is not getting as much attention as
is there a dominant player in the cloud business now?
Well, Amazon, in the infrastructure part of it, which is the part that we play in, Amazon is by far the leader.
Right.
You know, it started mostly with startup companies, but now it's big enterprises adopting. The best analogy I can give you for this is, it's like the electric grid. So instead of, you know, right now, big companies build their own data centers, and they buy their own servers, and they put it in, it's a lot of CapEx, there's a lot of price of admission. You have to, if you're gonna operate a data center, you have to do it well. But it doesn't differentiate you from your competitors. It's just a price of admission. And so what we do at Amazon Web Services is we sell compute by the hour. We sell compute by the drink. And it's just like buying electricity off the grid instead of having your own power manufacturing, your own power generating plant. If you don't love your work, you're never going to be great at it. If you can get your work life to be where you enjoy half of it, that is amazing. Because very few people ever achieve that. Because the truth is, everything comes with overhead. That's reality. Everything comes with pieces that you don't like. Every job comes with pieces you don't like. And we need to say, that's part of it. You have to figure out how to set up your life in such a way that you can minimize the things. And I find people don't dislike hard work. What people dislike is being out of control. Like they can't control their life, they can't control their environment. This happens to me when I get overscheduled. I hate being overscheduled. I want some time to be able to think and free myself. We all have the same amount of time in the world. Nobody has more time than anybody else. And when you become a very successful person, one of the things, you start to get overscheduled. If you don't love your work, you're never going to be great at it. The other thing I would suggest to any young person, even before they start their career, is to really think about their choices. Because I find young people, and when I was young, I made this mistake too. You can get very fixed on your gifts. So everybody has gifts. You know, you have gifts and you have things that you didn't get gifted. Maybe you're extremely beautiful. Maybe you're extremely good at mathematics. There are a lot of things that you can be given. But those things can confuse you because they're not the things that construct your life. It's your choices that construct your life, not your gifts. You can celebrate your gifts. Be proud of them. Be happy of them. Actually, don't be proud of them. Be celebratory of them, but you can't be proud because they're gifts. They were given to you. You didn't earn them. You can only be proud of the things you earn. And so, as I got older, I started to realize I wasn't proud of my gifts. I was always good at school. School was always easy for me, and I was always proud that I was a great student. I got A's in all my classes. I was good at math, all of that. And I thought that's who I was, but it's not true. Those are the things that are gifts. What was hard for me is deciding to work hard, deciding to use my gifts in certain ways, to challenge myself, to do things that I didn't think I could do, to put myself in uncomfortable situations. You can choose a life of ease and comfort, or you can choose a life of service and adventure. Which one of those, when you're 90 years old, are you going to be more proud of? Tomorrow, in a very real sense, your life, the life you author from scratch on your own, begins. How will you use your gifts? What choices will you make? Will inertia be your guide, or will you follow your passions? Will you follow dogma, or will you be original? Will you choose a life of ease, or a life of service and adventure? Will you wilt under criticism, or will you follow your convictions? Will you bluff it out when you're wrong, or will you apologize? Will you guard your heart against rejection, or will you act when you fall in love? Will you play it safe, or will you be a little bit swashbuckling? When it's tough, will you give up, or will you be relentless? Will you be a cynic, or will you be a builder? Will you be clever at the expense of others, or will you be kind? Tomorrow, and in a quiet moment of reflection, narrating for only yourself the most personal version of your life story, the telling that will be most compact and meaningful will be the series of choices you have made. In the end, we are our choices. Build yourself a great story.